Hey there, it's Derek here from Pacific Coast Auto, and we're looking at a Mini. So recently we've been getting a lot of requests for Minis. Minis are hard to buy. They made tons of them worldwide, but now they're old and they are, well, not put together very well to begin with. A lot of them have tons of modifications. Rust is an issue, rust repairs is an issue. Anyways, let's talk about this one. This is a post-purchase inspection video. This one was bought from auction here in Japan for export. This one's going over to the USA. Now this one's been converted over to a aftermarket Mikuni carburetor. Makes the engine a lot more brum brum brum. Let's see if we can find that throttle body. Okay, but also it is smoky. Can you see that smoke? Now it is not white smoke like head gasket smoke. It is definitely oil that's being burnt, which is a little bit weird for Minis to burn oil, to be honest, because the Minis have extra piston rings which allows less of the oil to get through. I kind of wonder if it's not seeping through a spark plug here, because you can see it's obviously leaking a lot down the front of the engine. Oil is a little bit low. Anyway, it's going to shut the engine off here. And we'll look at the rest of the condition of the vehicle. So I tend to consider these Minis to be about an 8 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 in terms of difficulty of buying. But more than other cars, they are, you know, a car that was engineered in the 1950s. Lots of them have tons of modifications. This one included. It might actually be an aftermarket engine in it. That valve cover certainly is different. And then it might have, I don't know. You don't know what you're going to get in there. And it does have an aftermarket carburetor, which is good for maybe about 10% extra performance or so. Has an aftermarket coil here, aftermarket wires. Okay. Has 2 fans here. And has a no AC. A lot of these here in Japan have AC. The AC tends to be kind of a problematic AC. A lot of them don't work very well. Oh, and here's something. To open up the hood, you press this in with your fingers. There's an alternator fan there that's going to cut up your fingers if you have the engine on when you're doing it. Usually they have a little plate here to protect your fingers from going in and getting snipped off. This one doesn't have that plate, so do be careful. Don't have the engine running when you're opening it. Okay, so this one was sold as a 1994. 94 would have been the first year fuel injected. This one's not fuel injected, it's carbureted. If it is a 94, in fact, carbureted 94 1300 cc's are pretty uncommon, but I don't think that's what this one is. You're going to have to run the VIN number on it in order to find out what year that it is. And this is a little bit of an issue with imported vehicles. Cars in Japan are sold based on the year that they were first registered. Does that make sense? Anyway, here's how it works. If this is a 1988 but brought into Japan in 1994, this will continue to be considered a 1994 even if it was made in 1988. And so this is part of the extra difficulty of the Minis. Alright, I got an auction inspection sheet. I'm going to go over it here. Okay, so it's a 1.3. They just called it a Rover. They didn't even call it a Mini. Auction grade R because it has been in an accident. Interior grade C. 63. Well, actually, 630,231 kilometers. Wow, that's not true. It actually says 63,000 kilometers. But the gauges have been changed to a center gauge set. It's original black, 4-speed manual. Sales points are aftermarket wheels. They're 13-inch. 13 was bigger than any of them except for the very final generation with the sports pack. This one isn't that, but has been converted and has the disc brakes inside. And the disc brakes, I think, came in, I don't know. Which year did they come in? 94? With fuel injection, maybe? I'm not sure. It used to be full drum brakes. Or maybe sometime in the 80s. See, this is the thing with Minis, is they change so many times throughout the years, you don't really know which you're going to get until you're an expert. And most people that want Minis haven't spent the last 5 years studying them. Okay, aftermarket exhaust, aftermarket center gauge set. The gauges have been swapped, so the mileage is unknown and has been repaired from a front end accident. There's some rust on both the doors, S1 you can see there. There's actually some rust on the back that they didn't mention, but it's only a very little amount and about the same as what you could expect on the doors. Here's the thing with Minis is if you see rust on them anywhere, there's going to be more rust on them somewhere else, and so keep that in mind. The report here, there's a lot of stuff written, so let me go through it all here real quick. It says interior is dirty, aftermarket driver's seat, door trim is aftermarket and various other aftermarket parts on the car. Dashboard comes up or is warped. Aftermarket dash panel with a question mark, aftermarket exhaust, aftermarket steering wheel. Battery is dead, it actually isn't. Oil leak, windshield is cloudy. This is something that we see on the Minis actually. It tends to go cloudy around the edges, and you can see there it has it. I've seen it a lot worse than this. In fact, I didn't notice it on this car until I read it there. Okay, what else? Right baffle dented, right front inner panel dented, white smoke with a question mark. It's not head gaskety. It's certainly oil-y, and so I'm not entirely sure. It could have piston rings that have gone bad, or it could have some other way that oil is getting into those cylinders. Rear floor and rear panel have a corrosion hole. Actually, the whole underside has been painted, and I got some extra pictures of the underside. I can't see any corrosion hole, but I don't have a lift, and Minis are pretty low to the ground. I'd say as far as most Minis go, this one seems to be less rusty, and so that's good, especially for the age if it's older than 1994, which I suspect it is. Okay, various scratches, dents, and surface rust. Body has been fully repainted, has some paint wave, uneven paint, and the roof color is different. They don't know if that's original or not. Okay, so lots to go over there. Let's go over the car now. Minis always look good no matter what condition that they are in. A Mini was my first car, and I've owned another one here in Japan, and I adore them. And anyone who's looking to buy a Mini probably needs to know, well, everyone who has owned one will know this, they're kind of a love-hate type of car. They can be frustrating to no end, and repairs can be a little bit difficult, and then people get angry and sell their cars, and then they regret selling them. It's the type of car that you constantly hear people saying, I wish I hadn't have sold that. Now, as far as the rust goes, it's eventually going to happen on all Minis, and so I'm not sure why this is, and I just answered an email yesterday about Minis. Minis tend to have missing rust on the auction inspection sheet more than any other car that I've seen, and I'm not sure why that is, because Minis are, they're a known rusty vehicle. Inspectors should be looking out for the rust. I'll show you the rust on the trunk now that I was talking about, and then on the doors. So the rust on the trunk is here. Okay, there's a little bit on the other side. This has the original rear bumper, original tail lights. This, I think, has been converted to an old style latch, but not sure. A little bit of cracks in the gasket around here. These obviously are not the original over fenders nor wheels. They're 6-inch wide by 13, and that's a really big wheel and tire for the Minis. Going down here, you can kind of see the paint wave, and then not there. Here is the S1 on this side. It's more pronounced on the other side. Aftermarket marker there. Original fender mirrors on this, maybe. Even the ones that have original fender mirrors still have these little screws here for where the door mirrors are supposed to be attached. So it's a little bit of a weird thing. I think that's the original Mini badge for this Mini. That might help you, well, you can never go off of the badge, but that might help you find out the age of it. If, for example, there's like you think that the car is an 87, you look at the other 87 Mini badges, and it's that one. This grille is an aftermarket one. This year has the pop open on the inside of the car, not through the grille. The older models, anyone could walk up to your car and pop the grille, or pop the hood. And then it has these quick releases. So these you can undo by hand, and then you can pull the front grille off if you wanted. Helpful if it's a race car, but people just put them on because it looks cool. Grille is faded, has a couple of dents over here you can see. The paint on the car, I'd say it's pretty good. It's a little bit wavy, as the auction sheet said, but pretty good. This section here, you can see some fade. And these headlights, I recommend you look into them. I said this in the other video. They look like kind of an aftermarket-y headlight that might be quite valuable. Okay, going down the side here, I'll show you the other rust. It looks like some rust repairs have been done down here, but there's rust here and here. And then mine had floorboards that had rusted out. This one doesn't seem nearly as bad as that. This area here tends to rust pretty quickly. This one looks good, and all the way down looks good. Same thing goes on both sides. And then having a look at the underside, there's probably some rust under there. Because it's painted black and because it's dark under there, it's hard to see. The battery box though, battery goes in a little box in the trunk here. You can definitely see some rust on that. Okay, and then the back panel here, maybe that's rust repair, I'm not sure. But the back panel looks to be pretty good. Inside the trunk, it's looking pretty good as far as minis go, to be honest. There's probably going to be some rust under that spare tire. And 40th anniversary, 1999. It's funny, they were still making minis in 1999. That was their second to final year. Sold these for 41 years. This is tighter than it should be. I think they replaced the gasket with one that's too big. Bit of paint damage there, bit of sealer put onto there. And we have no rust along the gutters around here, which is a plus. Hood stripes, that's a plus. And the car, brum, brum, sounds really aggressive, so probably very fun to drive, but it seems like it's maybe over carbureted, making it idle a little bit sputtery. Okay, so on to the interior here. Aftermarket seat, they call this the Cobra seat. I don't like them because you can't adjust the back, and they're rather short. Also, this one is rock hard right here. There's no cushion right there. And so somebody put this extra like cushiony piece in. I don't like it. If this were my car, it would get new aftermarket seats right away. The plus thing about this, though, is it gives you much more legroom. You can see it goes back really far. Hey, there's a fire extinguisher in there. That's odd. I mean, maybe that's a good idea for a Mini. You can smell the gasoline at all times. It's funny, people don't realize, but any car that's carbureted, you will be able to smell gasoline because the gasoline just sits out in the open. Okay, so door cards have been changed to an aluminum one. A little bit echoey in here, isn't it? Dash panel changed to an aluminum one with center gauges. The deformed dash panel, you can see there, that's an aftermarket unit, I believe. Comes with a CD player. Okay, it comes with an air freshener and a cup holder. Okay, there's no power steering on these, no power windows. This section of the window roller is broken, but this sort of kit is very common to get. You can spend $300 and get like the handle here, this piece here, and that piece for both doors. Aftermarket speaker set there. Tachometer, which is weird, Minis often don't have tachometers. It's real Smith's gauge, and so that's kind of a valuable unit. And then a voltage and a clock. And then this all fits into the secondary glove box. And the wiring looks like Lucas did it himself. There's even a little cutout here for the dashboard in order to fit that tack because it's rather large. Okay. Alright, carpets have been replaced at some point. I'd say that overall I'm pretty happy with this Mini. A little bit concerned about the engine smoke, but you don't know what you can do until you go and get it actually tested. But that's the life of Minis. When something breaks, you replace it, and then you get a better car. It's kind of a fun little project, and nobody's denying the styling of these. It's definitely going to get some attention. Okay, so there we have it. Of course, if you have any questions, let me know. But otherwise, thank you so much, and have a nice day.